was wrong about my stepfather. I thought they wanted to meet me alone. It's funny how life can surprise you when you least expect it. For years, I lived under the assumption that my stepfather, Jason, was just a stranger in my life, a placeholder that my mom had decided to invite into our home. I thought that one day he would try to replace my father, someone I lost when I was just a kid. But that day, the day I thought he wanted to meet me alone, changed everything. Growing up, I always had a simple view of family, mom and me, that was it. I was only 11 when they divorced. It left me scarred, confused, and uncertain about everything. The idea that mom could love someone else, let alone marry again, felt like a betrayal. I didn't want a stepfather, and I certainly didn't want anyone else in my life. It wasn't just about her finding love. It was about the fear of change, the fear of being forgotten. When she started dating Jason, I refused to accept it. I convinced myself that it was just a phase, something that would fade away, and that I'd never have to meet him for real. But time passed, and I saw less of my mom. She was happier, sure, but she was distracted. She started spending weekends away with Jason, leaving me to fend for myself. The more they were together, the more I distanced myself. I never gave him a chance. I just assumed he was like all the other stepdads I'd heard about in movies or seen on TV, controlling, overbearing, or simply there to disrupt the family. The first time I met him, it was awkward. Mom introduced us at the dinner table, and I remember feeling like he was a stranger intruding in my space. His eyes were kind, but I was too busy glaring to notice. I kept my answers short, polite but distant, and soon enough, I excused myself from the table. I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't ready to let him into my world. But then came the day when Mom told me something that stopped me in my tracks. "He wants to meet you. Just the two of you," she said casually one afternoon, as if it were the most normal request in the world. "Jason thought it would be good for you to get to know each other better." I froze. "Alone?" I asked, barely able to keep my voice steady. "Yeah, just you two. I trust him. It'll be good for you both." I stared at her. I wasn't ready for this. I couldn't understand why he would want to be alone with me. I thought he was going to lay down some rules or pressure me into calling him dad, or forcing me to accept him as some kind of family. My heart raced with a mix of fear and anger. Why would he want to meet me alone? I didn't want any part of it. He had no right to ask me to open up. I wasn't a child anymore, and I didn't need a new father figure. But Mom insisted. "It's just a conversation. Give him a chance." So reluctantly, I agreed. That afternoon, I met him at the park. Jason was already sitting on a bench when I arrived, looking calm and patient. There was no agenda, no forced smiles, no attempt to fix anything. I sat down beside him, still wary. He greeted me with a soft, almost apologetic look. "How's your day been?" he asked, as if we were just two strangers casually chatting. No big deal. No pressure. I wasn't used to this. People, adults, usually forced conversation with me, trying to fill the silence with awkward, meaningless words. But not Jason. He simply wanted to know me as if I was an individual, not some part of a family puzzle he was trying to complete. He didn't try to impress me with stories about his life or ask me to tell him about my dad. Instead, he asked questions that I'd never been asked before. "What's your favorite book?" he asked. "What's the one thing you'd do if you could spend a day doing anything?" The questions were simple, but they disarmed me. I found myself talking about my favorite books, the ones I hid in my room, the ones I never told anyone about. I told him about my love for graphic novels, about how I dreamt of becoming a writer one day, though I was too shy to share it with anyone. Jason listened. He wasn't trying to fix me or teach me anything. He wasn't even looking for approval. He just wanted to hear what I had to say. For hours, we sat there by the lake, talking about everything and nothing. It wasn't forced, and it wasn't uncomfortable. It was just two people learning about each other. And for the first time, I realized something. I had been wrong about him. I had thought he wanted to meet me alone to control the situation, to dictate terms. But that wasn't it at all. He wasn't trying to replace my dad or tell me how to live my life. He just wanted to know who I was, to understand me on my own terms. He wasn't an intruder in my world. He was simply someone who wanted to be a part of it, gently, respectfully. By the time we finished talking, the sun had set and the air had cooled. I stood up, feeling lighter than when I had sat down. Jason didn't ask me to accept him as family. He didn't demand anything. He just asked for a chance to be there if I needed him. "I know it's been hard for you," he said, his voice low but steady, "and I don't expect you to call me dad or anything like that. But I want you to know that I'm here, not to replace anyone, but just to be someone you can count on. No pressure. Whenever you're ready." I left that conversation with a sense of clarity I hadn't expected. I wasn't ready to call him dad, but I realized that wasn't the point. The point was that Jason had respected my boundaries, acknowledged my pain, and offered me a space to just be myself. I had been wrong about him. I had assumed he wanted to take over my life, to force me into a mold that wasn't mine. But he didn't want that at all. He just wanted to be someone who could be there for me, whenever I needed him. And that, in itself, was something I could respect. From that day on, things changed. Slowly, cautiously, I began to trust him. Our relationship evolved not because he forced it, but because he was patient, kind, and gave me the space to grow. And though our family dynamic would never be the same, I started to see that it didn't have to be perfect to be valuable. I learned that sometimes, the people we fear the most are the ones who are trying to understand us the best. And sometimes, we need to be open to change, not because it's easy, but because it helps us grow in ways we never expected.